Philadelphia, first home game for the Eagles team that put the bang thing on the ATL in week number 1. And yes, across the street, look at that. We've got a new stadium, we've got a new studio, and we've got a new drone coming our way. Look out, Scorsese. We've got NFL Network kicking off week 2 of NFL Game Day morning. I am officially a studio host tap dancing, waiting for a drone to come through the garage door opening up.
I see it.
Here comes the drone. Come on, move it already. We've got week 2 to get to. It's a drone.
Is it credential?
Oh, that's cool, man.
Oh, my God.
Keep it right there, Rick. Come on. Keep it right there. I got to shoot it. I want to shoot on my...
Now it's the gym.
Hey, put it on my...
Welcome to NFL's Game Day morning, presented by Lowe's. Join the home team. The drone's gone, guys. I'm Rich Eisen. I'm your host. Good to see you.
We want the drone, bro.
Steve Mariucci, Kurt Warner, and Michael Everett. Kurt, while you and Kevin Harlan are doing an excellent job calling week 1 of Monday Night Football on Westwood One Radio, the Manning brothers had their debut on ESPN2 during Monday Night Football. And just because you may have missed this soundbite, everybody here would like to play it for you, with Russell Wilson joining the Manning brothers in the final throws of that game.
I think he's got to be able to matriculate the ball, but he's also got to be aware that this is the Ravens' defense. The Ravens, they're going to zero pressure him. He's got to – I call it gap plays, game-altering plays. These gap plays are going to show up in this drive. It's going to happen right near the 50-yard line.
Come on, Russ.
Yeah, no.
You gotta know it's GCP. Game-changing plays, not game-altering. GCP. I know Russ is getting ready for a game, but Russ, you got to tune in every once in a while. GCP sounds way better than gap plays.
I don't know.
I'm just saying.
I beg to differ.
It's a gap play.
Gap. You know, it's
GCP.
Gap.
Gap. What is gap? Come on, man.
Now you know how it feels when you're trying to name someone the natural and not everyone's sticking with you.
All right, we'll get him. I'm going to get Russ.
It looks like you got you already. Sunday storylines. It's week number 2, everybody. We're already 1 game in the books. Another nationally televised game on Thursday night that came down to a final snap. Steve Mariucci, how does week 2 follow the rest of that up?
Well, Rich, I'm going to need a little help from you, and I want to play a little music here.
Oh, boy.
A little tune right now.
Oh, my gosh.
All right, let me hear it. Oh, boy. Oh, who is this now?
The
autumn wind is a pirate.
Yeah, that's great.
Blustering in from sea. Who said that, Rich?
John Facenda.
John Facenda.
Steve Sable wrote it.
That's right. You know what? We have a great classic rivalry renewed today.
Yes.
When the Raiders traveled to Pittsburgh. Did you know this? In the 70s, they played 5 years in a row in the playoffs. There's the immaculate reception. Franco Harris, the Snake, Rocky Blyer, Lynn Swan, you name it. What a great rival. Today, you got a couple undefeated teams with veteran quarterbacks playing against each other. You know, I can't wait because, Kurt, the autumn wind is a Raider. Pillaging just for fun. He'll knock you round and upside down and laugh when he's conquered and won.
And Steve
Mariucci, you should have a pirate hat on when you say all that.
And Steve Mariucci wrote it on his card and read it off.
Oh, my God. Listen. That music right there now. Say what you will. That music right there, that's what I grew up. That's different right there, man.
That is NFL right there. When you start to hear that, you know that you're getting locked in.
Oh, my God.
I do not have music for me. But I know it's only week 2, but I'm going to call this season-saving Sunday. Because over the last 30 years, since 1990, when we went to a 16-game season, I know we got 17 now, I know we got 7 playoff games, but teams that start 0-2, only 15 times in the last 30 years have they won a playoff game. So I'm looking at all these teams from a week ago: the Packers, the Bills, the Ravens, the Titans, the Browns, all these teams with Super Bowl aspirations. They suffered some devastating losses, a lot of different ways, but some devastating losses last week. I want to see, how do these teams bounce back? Because you start out the season 0-2, no matter what the format is, it is tough to get where you want to go. And these teams didn't start the season the way they wanted to, Michael. What do they do in week 2?
Michael, before you start, Russell Wilson just chimed in, and he's calling it season-altering Sundays. Okay.
I like that, too. You know what I mean? Yeah, Russ. I like Russ. Yeah, he's a smart guy.
What do you have over there, Michael?
I always say hope dictate effort. I want to tell the people that do start 0-2 that I did start 0-2 and got to the Super Bowl. It's just just to help hurt out.
Oh, boy.
It's not
Emmett came back.
Yeah, so it's not over, right? Still give him some hope.
Jerry Jones is in studio.
Give him some hope. Give him some hope. Nobody said they would start 0-2, Rich. What you say with that?
No, I just said it's because Emmett came back, but keep going.
Okay, all right. Well, that was one of them. That was one of the reasons why. But listen, since everybody hates the themes, I'm calling this the money game. And this is Lamar and Patrick Mahomes. And think about this out. Lamar's right now negotiating his new deal. I know he wants to focus on football right now, but how do you take Lamar into the negotiation room if you're the Ravens and say, listen, we want to pay y'all that money, but you can't beat Patrick Mahomes. We're going to need to beat him to get to the Super Bowl. So this is a big money game for the Baltimore Ravens, but for Lamar Jackson. If he wants to be able to go in and say, give me my money today, he would have to make a lot of big GAPs, game-altering plays. Well, I mean, he has to come out and do some more.
Yeah, blow the whistle. GCP.
Come on, saying, people. Man, I'm just saying. Hey, the man
nobody wants to have a gap. Nobody's looking for a gap.
Except for them all.
Come on.
So, look, it's interesting. Lamar and Mahomes, first time ever that two MVPs are facing each other in the same game twice below the age of 27 ever. We've never seen somebody this young face each other with that resume, and we're seeing it now for the fourth time in their careers.
You're saying that's a good thing?
Well, of course. No, I'm just saying that for us, as fans, to see a matchup like this so young and so good, it's pretty neat. And the Ravens might need it to avoid being the only 0-2 team in their division. We'll see how it all plays out. Certainly starting at Heinz Field, where we start with Aditi Kinkhabwala. Aditi?
Rich, I've been covering games at Heinz Field for nearly 10 years now, and I can't tell you the last time I saw this many fans out tailgating at 7:30 a.m. Steelers fans are excited to be back here, and T.J. Watt is excited to have them back. As he put it this week, I hope they realize how big of an impact they can have on this game. Now let's head out to MetLife and Kim Jones.
Well, thanks so much, Aditi. A battle of rookie quarterbacks here. Bill Belichick says of Zach Wilson, he's an explosive athlete with a great arm. And when Jets defensive coordinator Jeff Ulbrich watched film of Mac Jones, he came away thinking he's way better than I wanted him to be. What a great line. Let's send it to Steve White in Indy.
Well, thanks a lot, Kim. And when the Rams acquired quarterback Matthew Stafford this offseason, in large part, it was because his ability to drive the ball downfield. But head coach Sean McVay said Stafford also gives them so many options, quote, we're not limited anymore on offense. And the example he gave was how often in week one they ran out of shotgun formation on early downs, something they haven't done previously and something to look out for today. Now let's send it to Mike Garafolo in Philadelphia.
Nick Sirianni likes to call them rounds, not games, while round at home against the 49ers here at the Lincoln. Yeah, it's going to be a slugfest. Both of these teams really good up front, and the Niners are getting defensive tackle Javon Kinlaw back. When I asked Niners left tackle Trent Williams, I said, I know it's a cliche, but is this game going to be won in the trenches? He laughed, and he said, yeah, that would be a fair assessment. Now to Sarah Walsh in Tampa.
Tom Brady threw the ball 50 times in week one, but expect the Falcons to take shots today against the Bucs corners. Their top corner, Carlton Davis, is questionable with a hamstring. Their other starting corner, Sean Murphy-Bunting, out with a dislocated elbow. Matt Ryan told me their advantage is on the outside and that they have to give their guys chances down the field. Now to Ian Rappaport.
Sarah, expect the Baltimore Ravens to go with running back by committee today in the big-time showdown with the Kansas City Chiefs, which means Tyson Williams, Latavius Murray, and Devontae Freeman should all see carries. Do not be surprised if the Ravens roll with the hot hand when it comes down to it, which means if you're picking one in fantasy, good luck with that. Meanwhile, speaking of fantasy, if you had Zeke Elliott last week, you probably saw he only had 11 carries, did pass block great, stayed on the field most of the game, just 11 carries. Expect him to get back to normal this week for the Dallas Cowboys in their game against the Chargers. 20 touches is the hope for Zeke. On the other side of the ball for the Cowboys, Rich, Big move on defense. Micah Parsons, their highly touted off-the-ball linebacker, is going to move to defensive end. Actually, his natural position, played it in high school. He helps make up for the loss of DeMarcus Lawrence.
Yeah, Parsons celebrating that whiteout victory over Auburn yesterday. I don't know how the U is doing today. We can check on that later on. We have 3 more hours to go. Plus, near your fantasy factors already. Odell is out. Jerry Jeudy is on IR, as we know. Josh Jacobs out as well with a toe injury that had him hobbling around despite scoring twice last Monday. This season, Lowe's is recruiting new players to join the Lowe's home team from now until December. Lowe's is providing 4 chances to join General Manager Drew Brees by completing a home improvement challenge. The first quarter challenge is live, folks. It's live. Fans should share their home tailgating setup at Lowe's.com/home team for a chance to join the Lowe's home team and to win great prizes like a limited edition jersey or tickets to the Super Bowl. Follow the action all season with the hashtag Lowe's Home Team. Let's see what we got right here. GCP and the Raiders song within the first 3 minutes. Store neighbors, site of the Cowboys and Chargers. 1 week after the Cowboys had a close but no cigar opener in Tampa.
Welcome back, Dak Prescott. Coming off his injury last year.
Godwin scores the first of 2021.
Prescott's first touchdown since last October. Left side of the end zone, caught by Amari Cooper. Touchdown, Cowboys.
He'll throws the ball downfield. Touchdown, Tampa Bay.
They look good, now. Cooper on the right side of the end zone. Touchdown. Fumbled the ball. Recovered by Lewis. Zerline's kick is plenty long. Dallas leads Tampa Bay.
Was there a push or not? Here's the kick by Suckup. It is good!
All right, we'll see y'all again.
They drop the game, and then they start dropping like the proverbial flies. Expected to miss week 2. No fewer than 6 starters, including one of the stellar trio of receivers, and then, of course, Tank Lawrence, perhaps their best defensive player, if not definitely best pass rusher. And Randy Gregory's on COVID protocol. Irv, I mean, sound the alarm right here. What do you think is going on with the Cowboys right now?
Boy, and you come around and you say, okay, now how do these Cowboys overcome these injuries to these guys right here, Rich? And I think, like, wow. First of all, you saw that defense last year. That defense was 28th and points allowed last year, so it was no good last year. And week 1, I thought they played much better. They got the turnovers. They did not win the game, as you so said at the beginning of this, but they played much better defensively. And now they rank 23rd. But you take off all of those guys. Those are the guys that get the pressure on the quarterback, DeMarcus Lawrence and Gregory. When you say I'm going to have no pressure on Herbert, you're saying I'm going to put more pressure on Dak, because that's the only way the Dallas Cowboys can win this game. Now, you're not going to stop the Chargers. You have to match them point for point. And this is funny. Since 2020, who has thrown the most per game is Dak Prescott, Justin Herbert. Dak Prescott, 46 passes per game. Justin Herbert, 40. We should see the ball in the air a lot at this stadium tonight.
And Justin Herbert, one of 4 teams, along with the Chargers, obviously, to go through week 1 perfect. AFC West, all perfect. NFC West, all perfect. You know who's perfect against the AFC North? Someone from the AFC West. Here comes Patrick Mahomes. Has never lost to a team in the AFC North. That is indeed what is at stake tonight, part of Sunday Night Football. Mooch, Kurt, take it away.
Money, Lamar. Big game tonight.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good against
That is pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Well, how will this Raven defense slow that guy down, Kurt Warner?
I don't know. I don't think they slow them down. When I look at this Ravens team, they are built on playing man-to-man coverage. They played 50% of man last week. In those 50%, the 16 completions for 258 yards against the Raiders. We saw at the end of the game, they decided to go blitz zero in a critical situation, leads to a big touchdown. You go man-to-man against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, and it is a long day, but that is what the Ravens do. They've obviously missing Marcus Peters on the back end. It's all about getting pressure on Patrick Mahomes. But I believe you've got to step back and play zone, but it's just not who the Ravens are.
Right.
And because it's not who they are, I don't believe they're going to do it, and I don't believe they're going to be able to stop them.
When your corners are hurt, and of course Marcus Peters is a great player, and you mentioned that he's out, and Marlon Humphrey has got an injury to his back, so they're going to be tested. Derek Wolfe, defensive end, he's not playing either, so the Ravens are going to be a little bit thin, a little bit light against these guys that have players all over the place. You got Tyreek Hill, and you've got Kelsey, and you got all kinds of guys that they have to stop the GAPs. I mean, there's going to be plays down the field all over the.
What is a GAP?
The gaps, the game-altering plays.
You got to cut down those gaps, because if they hit the gaps, it's over.
Yeah, well, they got to stop those, and good luck with that Sunday Night Football. All right, let's go over to Pittsburgh right now, because you got the Pittsburgh Steelers fans getting ready for the Raiders, and Darren Waller had a huge game last week against his former team, but this week he failed.
Do you think Tomlin personally hit send on that? Big, long-standing rivalry renewed today in Pittsburgh.
The terrible towel is poised to strike.
Tell him one thing, just win.
Back goes Bradshaw.
A play that will be talked about for years in pro football.
Intercepted by the Oakland Raiders. He's going all the way.
The Steelers have that tough defense.
We've been here before, and this is a hurdle that we got to get over.
Touchdown Raiders! The Super Bowl really exists for the Oakland Raiders.
Smash cut to 2021, week 2. Aditi Kinkhabwala, take it away.
Rich, 19. It's a number that Mike Tomlin repeated multiple times this week. It's the number of times that Raiders tight end Darren Waller was targeted, and it's a number that's actually smaller than Raiders quarterback Derek Carr said he'd like. He said he'd throw to Waller 30 times if he could. Now, when a team is this committed to throwing to one player, Steelers coach Mike Tomlin said, you're not going to stop him. You just have to do your best to minimize his impact. And so the Steelers' plan for that is to throw as many different players and as many different looks at Waller as they possibly can. Could be a linebacker, could be a cornerback, could be safety Minkah Fitzpatrick, could be all of them in some fashion or form. As Tomlin said, it's good to have options. So on that, I'll turn it to you, Irvin. I'll ask you, what do you think? Is that going to actually work?
Well, I tell you what, it's best to be all of them at the same time. That's how you stop this dude, because Darren Waller is going off, man. Do you know, since last year, week 13, no one has more receiving yards, no receiver, no one than Darren Waller. As a matter of fact, he has 100 more than the next person, which is Stephon Diggs. So this dude is killing it, and they are throwing everything at him. Now, before I send it to Steve, I just want you guys to know this is my first time being upstairs in our new duds. You know, I'm sitting up here upstairs. I got the high end on everybody. Coach is down there. Hi, Coach. Okay, now I toss it to Steve and Andy.
All right, thanks so much, Herb. Well, the Colts did not play up to their defensive standard in week 1, and linebacker Zaire Franklin said that will change today, in part because of fundamentally things like tackling better, getting into their run fits. But he also said it's because they're somewhat familiar with what the Rams were going to do because of who they played in week 1 in the Seahawks, who run a similar offense to the Rams. Franklin said, hey, we inadvertently were preparing for our first 2 opponents, and when we watch the Rams on film, we know that they run some of the similar pre-snap motions and shifts, so now we know what to expect. Now, Rams coach Sean McVay said that's going to happen more and more with so many teams running this offense, teams like Seattle, San Francisco, Green Bay, Cincinnati. But then McVay also said they've got plenty enough in their playbook to get defenses off balance. So, Kurt, knowing that the Colts are thinking this, can Matthew Stafford have another big day at quarterback for the Rams?
Steve, it sounds really good. Oh, we played a team that just did the same thing last week. Granted, last week we gave up 140 yards rushing and 3 huge touchdown passes down the field. So I look at the Rams and I say, well, that's exactly what they're going to try to do. Run the ball first, and then they got Matthew Stafford with that big arm and the big playmakers down the field. So I expect Matthew Stafford to have another big game. Formula is going to be the same for Seattle. Not going to try to throw it all over the yard. Establish the run first and then take the big plays off of that. Matthew Stafford averaged 16 yards per completion last week. So a lot of work to do for that Colts defense. Now for another huge game, let's head out to Mike G in Philly.
Kurt, last week against the Lions, 49ers rookie quarterback Trey Lance got 4 snaps, one of which was a 5-yard touchdown pass. And after that play, he went to the sideline and was congratulated by Jimmy Garoppolo, leading Mark Sanchez, the analyst for the game for Fox and the former NFL quarterback, to say that must have been awkward for Garoppolo. Well, in an interview this week with KNBR Radio in San Francisco, Garoppolo said of Sanchez's quote, he's not wrong. So Garoppolo has kind of accepted that it's going to be a bit of a 2-quarterback system, and the Niners believe that's only helped Garoppolo handle the situation, play better himself, and also help Lance come along. As for Lance's snap count today against the Eagles, should be around the same area. But Mooch, I ask you, should the Niners use Lance a little bit more today?
Yeah, Mikey, I think they should, and I think they will. Look at this guy, Trey Lance from North Dakota State. He came in and threw that touchdown pass early in the game. Jimmy Garoppolo played pretty darn well. Here's that touchdown. How'd you like to start your career with something that easy? Touchdown right there. But Jimmy G threw for 314 yards with 124 passer rating. There's no reason to get rid of Jimmy Garoppolo right now. But I do think 4 snaps for Trey Lance is not enough. They will work him into the game plan more and more as the season progresses. And he gives you a little bit different dimension than Jimmy Garoppolo does. So I expect him to play 10 to 15 snaps this week. Now let me send it over to Rich Eisen.
Thank you. And now it's time for Game Theory presented by Microsoft Surface. Cynthia Freeland with some early morning, prognostications, readings of the of your model, and we start with a couple of games, starting with the Buffalo-Miami game, the AFC East tilt, 1 of 2 today, and you've got the Bills taking it, huh?
I do. 28-21 in this one. Interestingly enough, we did not see Josh Allen use play action as much as we had in the past. Only 14% of plays last week. This week, I think the return of play action is what we will see. I have 286 passing yards with 2 touchdowns for him and 34 rush yards to go along with it. That makes him quarterback number 4 for your fantasy calculation.
Okay, and then you've got the Bears, who were across the street on Sunday night last week, taking on the Cincinnati Bengals, and you have a very tight affair.
A tight affair in this one because of those, I think they're called game-altering plays.
Nicely done.
Game-altering plays, is that what we call them now?
We are all in, correct?
Jamar Chase.
Look out.
Let's go.
4 for 74 and a touchdown for Jamar Chase, his second in 2 games.
By the way, I think that's an excellent way to term it. Thank you, Cynthia Freeland. Cynthia Freeland says the Bears just escaped with a W against the Cincinnati Bengals. So what do we got here? We've got leave Kurt Warner's acronym alone. Kelly Freeland's got your back.
Thank you.
Was that Brenda?
That's what I'm talking about, Kelly.
Go. Kelly's got your back, man. Aaron Rodgers,
me and you, baby, me and you.
We know.
In this quarter, oh my goodness, this one's spanking. I think this one is one that you let salt, you let hurt, you let pain. We will see what they come back with week 2.
Back there, boy, on that control, right? Such a funny joker.
Silver lining for the Green Bay Packers is since Matt LaFleur has been hooked at the hip with Aaron Rodgers, the Packers have not lost 2 in a row. They have had a clunker each year like the one in week 1. That's the difference. In the previous 2 years, they were mid-season when the Packers had already been established. This one, gents, was the first one out of the box. What do you think? Panic? No? Yay? What do you got?
Well, guys, I will ask you, any concern that you have after that blowout loss with Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers last week to the Saints?
Well, you know what, and listen, everybody should have some concerns when you show up and play that poorly. And I've always said, even with what happened this offseason, that I really didn't have any concerns with how they were mashed back together, because Aaron Rodgers did a great job of keeping his intent towards the front office and off the football field so they can get back to business. But last week, Coach, I had a problem with how that transpired. You know, you lose by 35 points. That's the worst ever. Aaron Rodgers, 36 on passer rating, one of his worst ever. But then Coach says it's an embarrassing play, and then Aaron Rodgers came back and said, well, I wouldn't necessarily use it. That bothers me. And now I'm worried about what's in the locker room. I've been here a lot of years. You guys heard me say it a million times. 2 people I never go after, the head coach and the quarterback. They have too much on their mind. it bothers me when the head coach and the quarterback may be going after each other. I wish Aaron would have just left it alone. Coach said it was embarrassing. He could have just said, yeah, we got to play better. Just don't comment on his comment. Just play better.
Yeah, I agree with you, too. And I coached a lot of games and suffered some defeats. And yeah, some losses are embarrassing. Let's face it. But my philosophy was never use that word because it could offend somebody. Somebody played their guts out. Somebody played as hard as they could. Maybe you didn't play as well as you could have, but to say the word embarrassing, evidently Aaron Rodgers took offense to that a little bit. And so I would always try to stay away from that word and say something else like, hey, we could have been better, or we got to get better. You know, that kind of thing. You have an XO, don't you?
I do, because I have a little bit of concern. Now, I'm not concerned Aaron Rodgers won't bounce back, Devontae Adams, but my concern was that they got thoroughly dominated in this game in every facet. I mean, there was not a facet of the Packers that won. And some of the scheme that they had last year, all those naked bootlegs and everything you're seeing, man, the Saints just covered it up. I mean, where are you going to throw this if you're Aaron Rodgers? There is nobody open on this particular play. All right, we're going to come back here, drop back. And once again, we got three guys. We're not really sure about the concept. Everybody's kind of tight together. But look at this. There's not many places to throw the football. The Saints just knew what they were doing up front. They've got a new offensive line, some new pieces up there. Man, here we go again. A lot of pressure on Aaron Rodgers up the gut. He's trying to buy time and throw it on the move. Turns into an interception in the red zone, which you never see. And here's another play that you don't see very often from Aaron Rodgers. Oh, we're not going to show that one. That long interception that he had from the end zone. That he's looking, holds off his safety, and he throws the ball like 65 yards.
Yes.
Never want to throw the ball 65 yards. Backside safety's able to pick it off. So there was just a lot of things in that game that were very uncharacteristic of this team over the last couple years. You start to wonder sometimes, Coach, do teams start to catch up with scheme? And now you have to have players across the board that can win one-on-one. They did not do that against the Saints. The Saints beat them across the board.
Yeah, let's give some credit where credit is due. Dennis Allen's defense did a great job against that scheme. And Aaron Rodgers, though, 17-5 against the Lions, and he's never lost on Monday Night Football at home in Lambeau. He's 8-0, so I expect him to get right quickly. Rich, take it away.
Gents, thanks very much. Can your fantasy team get right quickly? Well, if you need help, don't worry. Kay Adams' Cowboys started 0-2 in 2010. When 1-7 start led to the in-season firing of Wade Phillips. The last time the Packers started 0-2 was 2006 under rookie head coach, now Cowboy coach, Mike McCarthy. They'd finished 8-8. Last time the Patriots started 0-2, yes, when the Jets knocked Drew Bledsoe out of the game, and in came Tom Brady. And on behalf of all of Jets fandom to New England, you're welcome. Perfect reminder how it all started on the day that the Jets and Patriots play each other for the first time in 2021. Kim Jones, take it away.
Well, thanks so much, Rich. You know, in the office of defensive coordinator Jeff Ulbrich of the Jets, there's a poster that reads, "Eliminate explosive plays." It was a gift of sorts from Robert Saleh, who hung that poster in Ulbrich's office. Saleh wants to eliminate plays of more than a 12-yard rush, more than a 16-yard pass. The Jets gave up 9 such plays against the Panthers last week. They'll try to do better today. Now let's send it to Sarah, who's in Tampa.
The Bucs' 14 rushing attempts were the lowest in the league in Week 1, and they have made it no secret they have plans to change that. Bruce Arians told us they've got to run the ball more, that they'd get more out of play action that way. He also told us that Ronald Jones is going to start. That's after a fumble last week that sent him to the bench. His offensive coordinator, Byron Leftwich, called Jones a special and unique running back and said the plan is to let Rowe be Rowe. Rob Gronkowski is on board with that plan. He told us he loves run blocking, and it would be nice to get it going. Now, the Bucs offensive line didn't allow a single sack on Brady last week, and he threw it 50 times, which puts a lot of pressure on that line. Tackle Donovan Smith told us, "We're going to do whatever they asked us to do, but we know we can't continue to be one-sided." Now to Ian Rappaport.
Well, Sarah, Andy Dalton is going to start against his former team, the Bengals, today. However, all anybody wants to know is Justin Fields going to get on the field? And is he getting on the field more than he did last week? I am told, yes, expect increased snaps for Justin Fields. Here's what I'm told behind the scenes for the Chicago Bears. He is growing every day. There are wow moments, wow throws every single day in practice. He's actually coming along faster than they expected. They are essentially head over heels in love with him. They use these packages as growth moments for Fields. No moment is too big, so expect to see more of them. Meanwhile, for the San Francisco 49ers, of course, they have some big questions at running back with Raheem Mostert having knee surgery to end his season. Against the Eagles, I'm told, expect Eli Mitchell to carry the load. You're going to see Trey Sermon, you'll see Jermichael Hasty, but after a 100-yard performance, it is going to be Mitchell carrying the rock. Rich?
Thanks very much, sir. We'll chat with you later on, Ian, but now it's time once again to say hey to Kay Adams. All right, Kay, last week you gave us your fantasy sleepers in a new format that, wait for it, in case you missed it, it's called Under the K-Dar. Everybody, high five. You know what I'm saying?
Under the K-Dar.
All right. Time to get back in the
High five, let's go.
That's right. Here we go. High five. All right. Time to get back in the submarine for week 2. Who do you have? What do you got? Yeah. There you go. High five.
Okay, we're going to go back in the submarine. Everybody's swimming over here. We're going way under, especially if you play daily fantasy football. Week 2 at quarterback. How about Teddy Bridgewater up against the Jags? We just saw Tyrod Taylor throw for just under 300 yards and 2 touchdowns in this matchup. Teddy's not going to make mistakes. Great matchup, tremendous value, especially in daily, I'm telling you. And I'm not worried about him not having Jerry Jeudy. I would even give KJ Hamler some sub-radar love. Tim Patrick, those guys are great. Let's move on to running back. Damian Harris, bad fumble, terrible, dreadful last week. I think that increases his value. I'm not worried about his usage. Stevenson also fumbled. And yes, this backfield is sponsored by Headache Medicine week in, week out, but it is the Jets. Game script against a rookie quarterback will help the Pats' run game thrive in this one. Sorry to you, Rich Eisen. Over 100 total yards, easy for Damian Harris. Maybe even a few catches. We saw that last week as the Pats try to bounce back. At wide receiver, we're going deep. We're going like to the floor of the ocean here. Emmanuel Sanders, deep under the radar guy. He's a veteran. He's proven. He was on the field way more than I expected week 1. Proven commodity. Gabe Davis reportedly working through an ankle injury, holding him out some of this week as he was limited. This team throws a lot. Josh Allen is really good. Therefore, he is in my lineups against Miami. Also want to put some love and energy out there, Rich, as I send it back to you towards Marquez Valdez-Scantling up against the Lions. It's a risk-reward one, but I really like him on Monday night. Also, Chase Edmonds today, some sleepers.
All right, let's talk about your daily stack. What do you have for us on that front for daily fantasy?
Rich, let's go to the griddle there in your backyard in L.A., where the Cowboys are coming to take on the Chargers at SoFi Stadium in front of fans. Justin Herbert will do his thing up against a Cowboys secondary without DeMarcus Lawrence. Mike Williams, 12 targets last week. Stop sleeping on Mike Williams. They clearly have chemistry and something going on. He's so undervalued. Zeke on the other side, I think, bounces back. Plenty of success because they'll actually use him against the Chargers. Also, sneaky Jared Cook's going to be in all of my lineups. He had 8 targets last week, Rich. He had 5 catches. He gets looks in the red zone. People always want to not play Jared Cook, but he is such good value.
All right, Kay, thanks very much. We'll see you later on in the show for your fantasy plays of the day. Of course, you could see Kay every single weekday at 7 a.m. right here on NFL Network on Good Morning Football. When we come back, we wrap up our first hour with some hurry-up offense. Oh, yeah, at least someone from Northern Michigan's getting in his cardio today. Robert Saleh running steps before the Jets.
Right there, man. It was just in the place where, should I dive? What should I do? Should I put one hand out? You should have put one hand out.
Forget about it. Taylor Heineke. Taylor, hit him with the Heineke. Oh, Ricky Seals-Jones with a tap dance, Washington up 1, but they're down 2 after a missed field goal called back because of an offsides. Come on, you forget about it. We had a 1 and then we lost it, then we won it, we lost it. This team, I can't believe it. Saquon. That guy beat us. Forget about it.
That guy beat us.
That's the inner voice of the Giants fan. That Jets fan, too, right there. Hurry up offense right here.
That was
NFL
a great
game day morning. Practice. Years. Mooch. Chiefs won by 4 points last week. Will they win by as much tonight?
Yep.
Kurt, the Bengals and Bears combined for 45 in their last game at Soldier Field. What about today?
Yeah, titch more.
Irv, the Texans and Browns have combined for at least 48 points just twice in 11 games all time. What about today?
Titch less.
Mooch, the Broncos scored 27 last week. Will they score as many today? Kurt, the Cardinals' last 3 wins have been all by more than 4. What about today?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Irv, Alvin Kamara's averaged 40 receiving yards per game against the Panthers in his career. What about today?
Yes.
Mooch, Russell has had fewer than 275 passing yards in 9 straight games. Will they have a gap day today?
A lot of gaps today over 275.
Kurt, Josh Allen has had at least 3 passing touchdowns in 3 straight against the Dolphins. What about today?
Yeah, he goes 3 GCP today.
Irv, Zeke is averaging 60 rushing yards per game over his last 10. What about today across the street?
Oh, yeah. Zeke may go 61 time with a GAP.
All right, we bought extra time. We're going to sneak in an extra social. Oh, yeah. Bo says, do not take GCP.
Don't take it. Come on, Bo. Don't take it.
Y'all a trip, boy.
People have your back, Kurt.
Yes.
You know, he's right. That's all
I
you
appreciate you guys having my back.
Right there.
I appreciate my people out there. Not you. You don't have my back. Get off.
Hey, everybody, clean up your work area. All right? Member of memberships coming in, and it's
That's
Jerry
my boy
Jones,
right
whose Cowboys are playing across
that's
the
my
street.
dude right there, too,
But
now.
we've got Jerry coming in studio later on today live. Lamar is 0-3 against the Chiefs in his career. He calls Kansas City and Mahomes his kryptonite. We'll let you know.